That's important.
All right, one more time. Peace, peace. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the first week of our 12-week virtual joy workshop. My name is Shontice,
And I'm Cedrica.
and we are founder and executive director of Humanity 360. For those of you that do not know, Cedrica and I have embarked on a 50-state tour to raise awareness for mental health in an effort to reduce suicide in the United States. We started this tour September 2018. Wow. And what we do in each state.
We do a number of things. We pride ourselves on being in a community, connecting with community members, seeing what resources actually exist already in the mental health field. We want to know like what is working, what isn't working. So we throw mindful expos. I mean, that's the last thing that we do, but we do youth and adult workshops. So what we're doing here, what we did last week, we do this in the classroom. We do it with different members in the community where we're just introducing healthy coping skills to help people deal with stress and identify internal emotions or self-awareness. At the end of the month, we actually throw a mindful expo where we find mental health professionals and holistic professionals, and we bring them to a community event venue, and you literally come in and gravitate to whatever you're drawn to. So whether that's a massage, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's information talking one-on-one with a therapist, in which I'm very excited to introduce our guest presenter, our expert for today, because Fatima Smith, we actually met her in our first state in our tour. So she was the first person, first community leader that we connected with, and we were literally walking with our eyes closed. We had no idea. So just to still be connected with her and to share this platform with her, we're super excited.
Yes, yes, yes. So you guys will be meeting her in a couple of minutes. We're actually going to go over a few house rules, if you will, before we jump into our presentation with our presenter, Fatima Smith, okay? So, also, how are you guys doing? You can check us out in the chat. I know we're going to be doing a lot of talking and facilitating, but we are always, always available to jump in the chat if you guys have any questions or anything like that. I'm going to share our screen here right now. If I can. There we go. All right, hopefully you guys can see that, and hopefully you guys can also hear us well. Again, let us know in the chat if you're having any difficulties. So as always, we want to make sure that we set the mood for what we're about to dive into and experience today. First, we want to thank you for choosing you. No matter what your days have been like in the past, you have taken this time to activate your joy factors right now, today. And for that, you should be applauded and awarded. And we are applauding you and thanking you for choosing yourself. Be prepared to take the next, however long it takes you, to actively engage in various methods of stress reduction. Each activity and exercise and all property presented was created by Humanity 360 and is based on personal experiences only. And that is specifically for our slides and our presentation. The information that is presented by the presenters was created by them or their organization. Remember that this is strictly about you and finding ways to connect with your true authentic self. So you're going to relate to this as much as you want to relate to this. So allow yourself to open up and be free in these moments as we dive into this work. Friendly reminders that we are recording this webinar. We are going to use this information in a library setting on our website, so that people can access this information whenever. So please be mindful of that. Don't be afraid to ask questions. No question is a dumb question. Again, use the chat box whenever you need to. We're here, and we'll be responding to the best of our ability.
Please keep your line mute. Keep your line on mute when not talking. If dialing in from phone, press 6 to unmute. We do not sell or endorse any products. Strongly encourage everyone to do their own research, as we are not physicians and are only sharing what personally works for us.
Again, that's our disclaimer.
Yes. And I hope everyone has a notepad to take notes, because we brought ours because I'm very interested in the topic that we'll be diving into today.
Regulation. Got to make sure we thank Black Coffee, one of our partners, the Black Coffee Company. Please be sure to check them out when you guys get a chance.
Yes, this is a community you want to definitely be plugged into. It's our family. They a business that they curated to shine light on financial freedom, to help community come together and show that it's a community effort to do so. So we really are thankful for that partnership.
Thank you, Black Coffee. All right. Before we jump into our presenter, we always like to start with a little mood. I don't know, call it what you want.
Mood to get everybody warmed up.
So I'm gonna ask you a question, and I want you to be completely honest. You can take your phones off of your audio off, or you can answer in the chat. I want to know what words come to mind when you think of Bill Gates. No wrong answers.
Don't be shy.
Money.
Ah.
Got money.
I think we have some answers coming in the chat. Philanthropy, innovator. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Perfect.
All right.
That's awesome. Now, I wanted you to engage in that because I wanted you to see how easy it is for us to know the attributes or opinions that we have of other people. But sometimes when we ask ourselves this same exact question, sometimes we don't have an answer. And so thank you for engaging in that portion. And now I would like for you to think about how you would answer that question for yourself, but thinking about how you feel right now in this second. So I always like to start off with how we feel in this moment, and then at the end, we'll visit this again to see how you're feeling now. And what I would suggest you to do is to actually draw an outline of a body or whatever, so that you can write inside of the outline. Please use areas of the body to define how you are feeling in those specific areas. If there's something going on in your heart area as it relates to a feeling, write it there. Maybe you're having some sensation in your fingers. Maybe you'll draw or make a little mark there to indicate that. I just want to know how you're feeling, and I want you to be honest with yourself, because there is no wrong answer to how you are feeling. This is about identifying those emotions. So I'm making my outline here. Again, if you're just joining us, we're creating an outline, as you see on the screen, and we're filling in how we feel on the inside. And here are some example words to use if you need. How do you feel right now in this very moment? All right, again, this is just a warm-up preliminary activity, just to get your feet wet, so you can know how deep we're gonna dive, or so you can be ready to tackle some of these feelings.
And also to be mindful of like how we're feeling. I don't think we do that enough to like physically check in with ourselves and check in with ourselves to see how we're feeling, things of that nature. So,
well, thank you. Without further ado, we're actually going to introduce Miss Fatima Smith, who is our presenter for today. So we are going to, let me see. Oops, sorry. All right, we're back. Hi, Fatima, are you there?
I'm here. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Good. Trying to make sure I got everything over here. So how are you? My name is Fatima Smith, and I'm with an organization called Leaders for Life. We are a mental health and behavioral health agency located here in the Richmond area of Virginia. And we deal with a lot of persons who may have major depression, bipolar, schizophrenic, and also with children who have some severe behavioral problems. So I've been doing this field for over 20 years at this time, and I've worked in a variety of different areas from residential to mental health and private practices. So just here to shed a little bit of light today, give you a little bit of information about emotional regulation, give you a few tips, and to make sure that everyone is staying safe during this COVID-19 time. So how is everybody? Okay.
I'm fine.
You're good, good. I'm gonna try to share my screen with you in a second so I can get my PowerPoint started for you. And there we go. So we want to talk about emotional regulation today. Can you see anything, or no, it's not coming up yet? I'm sorry.
The host may need to allow you to share your screen.
Okay, that's what I'm working on now. Let me see.
Shontice and them may have to
No,
select a button
She
to
got
allow
it.
you to do so.
She got it.
While she's doing that, just want to thank everybody for joining us. We're so excited. We have a lot in store for you this evening. This is just the beginning. So please hang in there, rock with us.
Take your notes.
I know it's hard to be in front of a screen for 2 hours. I mean, kudos to all of you guys who are working from home and literally have to do this every single day. So I really want to say kudos to you guys for that, seriously.
All right. So I apologize for that, y'all. Just a little bit of technical difficulties, but here we are. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So emotional regulations, I'm just going to talk about it a little bit. Normally we talk about it in the term of generally describing a person's ability to effectively manage and respond to an emotional experience. And with emotional regulations, there is a negative side of it, which is an emotional dysregulation. And that term is used to describe the inability to regularly use healthy strategies to diffuse or to moderate the negative emotions that people have. People unconsciously use emotion regulation strategies to help cope with difficult situations. And many times throughout each day, they often use a variety of emotion regulation strategies that they can apply to certain situations. Sometimes we're not even aware of these strategies that we're putting in place to help us regulate our emotions because they've just become a healthy habit. Some of them are unhealthy and some of them are healthy, but they just some unsubconsciously just happen for us. Over the years, we've adapted to them, okay? Some emotional dysregulations are thought to be a big part of mental health that can help cause problems such as anxiety, depression, personality disorders, psychosis, and post-traumatic stress disorders. So when you see persons who suffer from these diagnoses and a lot of the symptoms, it's because of their emotional dysregulations that have taken place over the course of years. Let's remember though, emotions have a purpose. So we don't want to just think of them in a negative light. We want to also remember that they are what we call emotion messages. And they're designed to give us information, and it helps to support and to bring attention to those things that are happening in our lives. So if there's something as a childbirth, you know, or your smaller things as day to day, like parking tickets. Some of those experiences can give you certain emotions that come and play with them. And for a childbirth, you can have these happy feelings. You can feel, oh, I'm ecstatic. This is a new love. This is a new joy, a bundle of joy within our family. But a parking ticket can set you off, and you can say, oh my goodness, you know, I have to pay money. I might lose my license. So there's a lot of different emotions that come with different scenarios. But these emotions are not to be ignored because they help to send messages to us to help us to see what our triggers are and how we can better regulate these emotions to prevent us from having emotional dysregulations. Okay. The good thing about emotional dysregulation and regulation is that we are able to learn how to manage our emotions in healthy ways at any stage of our lives. And that goes through a lot of therapy, sometimes self-awareness, self-help studies. Right now, I'm going to show you a basic chart flow of how your emotions are impacting what your mind and your body are saying. So when you go through an emotion of fear, your first emotion message in your mind is you're in danger. Okay, so fear brings that out. And an example of fear can be walking through a dark park in the middle of the night. You start worrying, who's around me? What's the noise? You know, that fear is something that comes from that situation. And the emotion of anger can come from being treated unfairly. Someone jumps in the queue in front of you at a supermarket, or you start thinking about how annoying and unfair certain situations are feeling and how it hurts you. So those are feelings that are transitioned because of that situation. When you're sad and your guilt comes in, you're having those feelings of you've lost, missed something important, and then you have something that you've done something wrong for guilt. So in these situations, you start thinking about how people have treated you. If you failed certain ways, are you, good at being who you are? Are you a true person to someone? Sometimes you can have feelings of sadness because you are feeling like, okay, I'm not good at who I am. I'm not good of a person. I'm not good as a husband. I'm not good as a wife. I'm not that great of a mom. So those feelings of sadness can kind of come in if you have a sense of a failure, a situation that has caused failure within your life. So we want to take into consideration that these are some basic emotions with messages that can send you on a negative route of having emotional regulation, or it can have a positive impact on you and how you regulate your emotions. But you have to be really, really mindful of them, because if you're not, it can cause you to really lapse or to mishandle them in a negative and in a healthy way. Okay, I'll leave this up a little bit. Now, how does it affect your mind and your body? When you have a fear of something, normally what happens to you? When you have a fear of, say, your mind is racing, for example, your thoughts are there, that fear causes your behavior to avoid the situation. You don't want to do it anymore. You don't want to go there. You're saying, this is not for me. I can't. This is something that your emotions have put in place. Your anger causes you to want to sometimes confront certain situations. You ever notice that when you have a situation in your job or even in your personal life, and you're saying, okay, I don't like the way that was handled. I don't like the way they treated me. I'm going to go ahead and speak to that person. I'm going to talk to this person. They're going to make this situation right. So with anger, it can translate into the behavior of your body is confronting. And you want to make sure that those are some pieces that are managing correctly, because if not, your whole mind and your body will not translate and be intact. So sadness, you have slow thought thinking in circles, your focus is on the negative stuff. It affects your body because it gives you you're heavy, you're empty, you're numb, you're tired, and then your behavior with your sadness causes you to withdraw. When it comes to your guilt, this is a critical focus on self and others' opinions of yourself. And a lot of people have this. Guilt, I find, is something that a lot of people are having, but they don't want to acknowledge that it's a guilt. Their heart races, they have sweating persistently, they have muscle tensing, they're breathing rapidly. And then to deal with this, they hide away from certain situations. They don't engage with people. They don't go out and be as active and to be a part of certain things. So they also withdraw and hide into themselves. Then joy and happiness is another piece. So you're thinking fast, you're focused on the positive, you're energized in your approach. And this is the place where everybody really wants to be. This is where we strive to be. This is the whole reason for us having our joy workshops, is because we always want to be energized. We want to stay in a positive light and be able to approach situations and be content also. Focus on your moments, be calm, be relaxed, and to stay in the present, stay focused. So these are your emotions. These are your basic emotions that everyone deals with every day of the week, basically. How it affects your mind, how it affects your body, and how it affects your behavior. A lot of this stuff also comes with, stress and other pieces come when we don't regulate these type of things, and that's how it also can affect your behavior and your body. I'm not getting into how to stay healthy today, but I want you to know those are aspects of when you're not able to manage some of these emotions, you will see it also inside of you. So when people have like high blood pressure and things, they're not being able to regulate some of these emotions that we need to regulate also on a daily basis in a healthy way. Now, how do we regulate them in a healthy way? And what is unhealthy compared to healthy? Well, let's go with unhealthy first. Self-injury is unhealthy, okay? So if someone is not regulating their self-emotions in a healthy manner, if they are self-injuring themselves, they're cutting themselves, they're abusing themselves, hitting themselves, just doing things that is constantly mutilations to their bodies, that's self-injury and that's not healthy. Abusing alcohol or other substances. Now, there is a thing for social drinking, but there's also when you have an abusiveness of substances. So you want to keep that in consideration. Am I using this time of drinking or using this substance because I'm socially doing it and I just feel like this is something I want to do? Or am I really suppressing a feeling that's inside of me, a thought that's inside of me that I'm trying not to deal with at this time? So those are some unhealthy ways that people are using to regulate themselves. Avoiding or withdrawing from difficult situations, physical or verbal aggression, and excessive social media use to the exclusion of other responsibilities. So a lot of time when you say, no, I have been on social media, I've been on the gram too long, I'm on Facebook constantly. Well, those are times where people are trying not to be in the present, especially during COVID-19. A lot of people are stuck in their homes with their family, and they don't want to be able to deal with some of the things that come up. There could be some family conflicts. There can be any type of children needing to have certain needs met that as a parent, you may not feel that you're adequate enough to meet those needs, especially with school being out and work being given. So you take to social media to try to avoid having to deal with a lot of those pieces. That sometimes can be unhealthy if you're doing it in that essence. Now, a healthy way of doing it is talking with friends, exercising, writing in your journal. I'm a big advocate of journaling. I really believe in it. I think it's the healthiest thing that is out there, because sometimes, if you put it out into the atmosphere first, it happens, and sometimes those first thoughts are not the ones you want to put in the atmosphere. So you write your thoughts inside your journal. That way you can always come back, and then it helps you to say, why was I feeling this way? Helps you to be able to dive a little bit deeper into what was the trigger that got me to that feeling. Meditation. Meditation is a great way of using a regulation strategy. Therapy, as we spoke about, There are different types of therapy that are out there, and they use different techniques. You would have to speak to your individual therapist, and they will be able to help you with some of those. Taking care of self when physically ill. That's another thing. You know, don't just let your illness go and say, oh, I'm okay. I know one thing right now is people are saying, well, is this COVID-19 or is this is this sinuses? That's the new thing. Is this COVID? Do I have the coronavirus, or is this just a sinus infection I have going on? Don't ignore your body, okay? If you are feeling stuffy and sick, just take care of yourself. It helps you to think clearer anyway once you take care of yourself and be physically fit. So get adequate sleep. Sleep is great. We have all day to sleep at this point in time, but you don't want to always sleep your day away. But get some rest. Do rest. Don't Netflix all day long. Don't do your Zoom webinars all day long. You do need to take a time out for that too, because it's been a lot, I understand. So you want to get some adequate sleep. Pay attention to the negative thoughts that occur before and after strong emotions. So if something has really happened, you really want to sit down and say, why am I feeling this way? Again, take consideration, take into account. Notice when you need a break and take it. So these are some healthy ways of dealing with your emotions so that we can regulate them in a healthy manner, and you're not going to have any emotional dysregulation by using the healthy techniques. You want to stay away from the unhealthy ones because they can, if not looked into, further go into habits that create long-term everyday usage. So let's stay away from those, okay? Next. So what causes emotions to feel so overwhelming? It is really important to note that the experience of the emotion is not what leads to difficulty. It's the interpretation of this emotion that tends to draw up feelings and a sense of not being able to tolerate them. And this is called the vicious emotional cycle. And this happens on a regular basis. And I'm going to give an example. I'm just going to read it. So as I'm reading it, I just want you to think. And if you want to chime in the chat room afterwards, then we can talk about it a little bit, or you can give your thoughts. So a scenario is a friend walks right past you in the hallway without acknowledging to you, and you immediately have a set of feelings like confusion or disappointment or self-doubt or anger that turn into a series of thoughts that become, what did I do wrong? I'll bet that she's mad at me for that thing that happened a few weeks ago. I'm not sure, it was nothing. I'm being oversensitive. She was probably in a hurry somewhere, but still, she could have spoke to me. So these feelings are the initial cascade that can lead to intense or acute feelings of frustration, panic, and insecurities. How often do we have these feelings? How often have we been in situations and we're wondering, okay, even with our telephones, I called my friend the other day and she never returned my phone call. What did I do to her? They don't have any time for me. What is happening? So these are the feelings that can escalate. So you want to make sure that we address those. This desire turns into an action when you have these feelings and you do something. So for example, we'll go home and we dwell on it. Is that what we do? Then we stop communicating with your friends, and then you get a tasty treat to make you feel better. We get some cakes, we get some whatever we like to eat, some comfort food as we call it. And we go into our whole thought process. I wonder why they're mad. What did I do? I can't believe it. This cycle is what becomes a vicious cycle because it just goes on and on and on. And if we do it with each one of our friends, whenever they don't respond to us in the manner that we're looking for a certain response, then that cycle continues to exist within inside of us. So how can we change this? What are some ways that we can go ahead and stop the cycle from persisting? Do I have anybody in the chats? No?
Oh,
Can't see.
yes.
Anyway.
No.
No, okay. So one way you want to look at breaking the cycle is by changing any part of the cycle. So when you're looking at the situation, it's what triggers the problem and criticize that work. Then you come down to your thoughts. What goes through my head? I'm not good enough, maybe. Then it comes to a physical reaction or your emotions. How does anybody react? Feel tired, loss of appetite, and then your emotions. How do I feel? Am I worthless? And this is anxiousness. And then it comes down to the behavior, which is what do I do? Then you avoid contact with others. So this cycle is a continuous cycle within our thought process. The only way to break the cycle is by leaving some of this stuff out. So when a situation happens and you're saying what triggered the problem and you would criticize that work, the first thought that you're going to have should not be, I'm not good enough. That's where it needs to break first. So you need to start where you're saying, okay, well, why was I criticized and how can I do better at what was said about me? What's the area of opportunity at that point for me to learn how to do my job a little bit better? Take it from that and then move around the cycle. By taking out the negative about yourself initially, it helps you to be able to see what the true problem is and to regulate your emotions, okay? Now, another example I have is for a teenager when in this situation of this cycle. So a teen leaves his house and he goes for a walk to release some stress when he's upset with his parent. But when he is angry about a bad test grade, he goes out and he gets high to avoid the feelings of failure that come up. Although going for a walk has helped him to calm the volatile thoughts and feelings in both situations reasonably, he may not have considered using it for both of the situations because the rapid response for him associated with failure brought up the second situation, made it really intense and resulted in need to reduce the intensity. So could he have used the first situation and just went for a walk to relieve his feeling of failureness at the time instead of going with his friends and getting high? He could have. But the feeling of failure in opposed to having a disagreement with his parent, that feeling of failure was more intense than the disagreement that he felt he needed to do something a little bit more intense to regulate his emotion. Whereas the healthy way could have been just taking the walk. So sometimes we have to really understand how the feelings are impacting on us and what level of intensity they are so that we can formulate a healthy level of reaction to that. So when I gave you the list earlier of the healthy regulation strategies, the one thing that you would be able to do is take that list and actually prioritize it. So instead of going over to the unhealthy side and indulging in any of those whenever you're feeling unregulated, then you would stay on the healthy side, but you would say, okay, for this young man, if I was in his situation, if this was me, and I had an argument with my family or my parent, then at that time, it's not that big of a deal. I can go for a walk. I can maybe sit outside and get some fresh air. But if I feel a sense of failure or rejection, that digs a little bit deeper within me. So I have to do something a little bit more to get rid of that feeling. On that list of healthy regulations, you need to start listing them 1 to 10 and say, hey, for something that makes me feel a little bit like I need to probably just take a walk, let's put that one at the number 1. But if there's something where I feel rejection, I feel intensified, let me go ahead and maybe be able to go for a run. Let me go ahead and call up a friend or do the journaling. You know, let me incorporate 2 or 3 of those healthy things in the time instead of just utilizing the one to increase it. That way you're not saying, well, let me go ahead and avoid and abuse a substance or drink some alcohol or, you know, engage in any unhealthy and inappropriate behaviors or be on social media to avoid certain situations too long. So these are just the ways to help you to be able to come to that healthy regulation. Okay? Some more tips for regulating your emotions would be taking care of your physical needs. So as we spoke about it before, getting a good night's rest, eating healthfully and exercising your body and all essentials to being able to feel satisfaction in life. Engaging in activities that build a sense of achievement. So we can each benefit from paying more attention to the positive events in our lives. When it comes to engaging in activities that build the self-achievement, the things that bring us joy have been shown to decrease negative moods and increase positive moods. So you always, even during this time of doing things for other persons, when you're able to help people in the community, when you're able to give to other persons, that engaging in activities that build a sense of achievement helps to fulfill you and regulate your emotions a lot better. Changing your thoughts is easier than changing your feelings. This plays a critical role in how we experience situations, of course. And when you notice yourself first becoming upset, try to evaluate what you're thinking and what is causing that emotion. So ask yourself some questions. What is it that you really push? What is it that really pushed my buttons? And why am I reacting so strongly? What's the worst or the best that could happen? And how important will this be tomorrow, next week, or the next month? So you want to take these questions into consideration before you go ahead and react in a way that you would sometimes feel embarrassed about in the end or upset. Okay. So I want to go through one quick exercise with you. And here are a list of some common false beliefs, okay, that we tell ourselves. And if you look at the list, just on your own notepad that you have there, from 1 to 19, if you have any of these that you want to put on your list, please list them, look through them, and you can write the whole thing out or you can write the number. But these are some common false beliefs that people feel about themselves that cause them to have emotions that are dysregulated. And how we want to get through this is by breaking that cycle that we spoke about earlier. So for all of your false beliefs, as you list them, then we're going to go ahead and you're going to mark down the positive way of thinking about this. If I lose control of my emotion in front of others, they will think less of me, okay? That emotion, number one, causes you to feel less than you are. It will touch on probably guilt. It will touch on fear. Some of those other basic emotions that we spoke about earlier, that these common false beliefs will hit the core of those. Once you have identified these pieces, then you have to turn it around. If I lose control of my emotions in front of others, they will think less of me. If I lose control of my emotions in front of others, they will understand that I need to talk about something. Let's think of it as a positive. I should be able to control my emotions. If you put that on your plate as one of your thoughts that you have, your feelings that you're having, the positive outlook to that is, I am able to control my emotions. If I let myself feel this emotion, I will become overwhelmed by it. The positive way of thinking about this is I manage all of my emotions. If I write down what the causes of this feeling that I'm having, I can better understand why it feels like it's overwhelming to me. Okay? So you need to start looking at certain things and diving into them so that we can break it down a little bit more. So once you've identified what pieces, what false beliefs that pertain to you, then I want you to really think about the positive aspects of putting that false belief into a core belief for you in a positive manner. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Okay. And if anybody would like to share at this time, we can. And if not, it's okay. But I will go through a few of them and give you the positive way of thinking about them in an interim. So, other people don't feel this way. There must be something wrong with me. I haven't asked other people how they feel. There's nothing wrong with me. And that normally is true. We automatically think that I'm the only one who's feeling this way. Well, we don't know because you haven't spoken to anybody about their feelings about any of this stuff. You just assume that no one feels this way. It's just you. You haven't asked. So let's open your mouth and ask. Only an immature person would get so emotional. I need to learn how to better manage my emotions. That's it. I'm learning how to better manage my emotions. There we go. I should be able to cope with difficulties on my own without turning to others for support. I have a support system so that they can help me deal and cope with difficulties. And when we think about emotional regulation, and we also think about how we're coping with them, for number 8, it's really critical to understand that you're not the only person that should be able to deal with your emotions. There should be a support person for you. There should be someone that can actually listen and not be a yes person, but help you to actually dive into what those feelings are. And like we spoke about earlier today, there are ways that you can get therapy to assist, but even having your own personal person as your support person, a best friend. Some of us have sisters and siblings, and those persons really are able to listen to us to help us to go through a lot of these difficult times and thoughts in our minds, okay? To be acceptable to others, I must keep any difficulties or negative feelings to myself. That's not true. So these things I can write my feelings in my journal, and I can share them with a trusted person. I need to identify one person who I can trust with my feelings. So this is the way that you think about your common false beliefs. Are there any questions? Any comments?
Yes, we have someone in the chat. Are you able to see the chat, Fatima?
I am now.
Okay, all right.
I got it.
Have a comment in the chat.
Good, okay. Okay.
And we can definitely attest to that too. To feeling like that
Yes.
We're always the go-to people. Like, so where do we go when we need to, we call it unload, dumping or whatever, but
right.
where can we go?
So,
when you're always that person to other people, who is that to you?
And that one is a difficult one, but I know for me, I'm always the go-to person also. I've been blessed. I have to have a strong business partner. And she has been my, we call it my therapist without getting paid. So she listens and she helps to regulate. But for those persons who are always the go-to, and you need to be able to unload. I know it sounds like, I want to say small groups. I want to say if you're getting into groups where there are like-minded people that are just very much as you are in that situation, then those persons become your support. And it's okay. I mean, we're in a time right now that if you don't have a family member who can be that support person for you, if you're not going to therapy and you feel that, okay, maybe my thoughts are not to the extent, because a lot of us feel I have these thoughts, but they're not that much that I need to go to see a therapist about, but I just need someone to kind of listen to me sometimes because I have these feelings of insecurities maybe, or these. So there are some groups now. We're in a time of technology where we have a lot of different groups that have people who can support you. There are meetups all over. And I know that that's not always the best answer, but I found that joining into some of those groups and you will find one or two people who you can have a close bond with depending on what your likeness is. And then you can share that way. But the biggest thing would be to try to journal your things out first. Go to therapy, number one. Don't be afraid of a therapist at all. Mental health is serious. Regulating your emotions is very serious. Even if it's just for an outpatient. I keep telling people that by going to a therapist does not mean that you're crazy. That's what the stigma says, that, oh my gosh, I can't go. And I heard that recently. Someone told me, I'm not crazy. I can't go to a therapist. It's not that you're crazy. You just have to, like you said, unload. So being able to have that person who you can feel you can trust, that would be another avenue to take also.
I also want to add that if there's anybody here today who doesn't have anyone to turn to because you are the go-to support person, we have our group right here. So, you know, we're already in the process of creating a group chat where we can indulge in that way for people who are mostly supporters and who lack getting support on a consistent basis. We are our support. So for those of us that can't find support, we are it. And know that we are always available also. So yep. we do unload, trust me.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions, any comments?
Well, this is Diane Parker. Journaling, and when I was going to my therapist, was helping a lot. So that journal part, I truly believe in, and I recommend that to a lot of people that feel that they can't get out or talk to anybody. I recommend that to anyone. And it was something that I didn't think I wanted to do or was comfortable doing it, but it helps me get a lot of my feelings out and my emotions out. And being a mental health advocate, it has been a tremendous help. And just like you said, I tell people all the time, it's okay to go to therapy. I go and you wouldn't believe how many therapists have a therapist. So it's okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Well, Fatima, I know you have to get out of here. I know you have some work to do. We are so grateful. Can you please tell or show, either type in the chat or show everyone where they can find you? Or
I will type it in the chat because I did not make my last slide with my information. Me being too modest over here.
I got you though. You know, I'm gonna call you out. I know what you're capable of.
So I will put it in the chat for everybody. If you have any questions, you can just contact me. I will even put my cell phone number in the chat since we're in COVID-19. We are essential workers, so we are in the office here and there, but if there's something that you can just get right to me, my cell phone will be there. You can text me or call me at any time, and our website and my email will be in the chat also. So I wish everybody to stay safe during this time. Make sure that you are journaling, you are regulating your emotions, you are doing a self-inventory of yourself on a daily basis. And if those things are not working out after you've tried everything and you're like, it's just not working, reach out. I mean, we have some beautiful ladies here who are always willing to help. When I met them, they have a great spirit, and our organization is here. And if I'm not in your area, I can connect you with somebody. So just let us know, okay? Be safe, everyone.
Thank you so much. We love you.
Thank you.
Woo, that was good. I hope you guys aren't ready to, because we're just getting started. Like I said, there is more. There is more. There is more. So if you guys need a break, let me know, because I'm about to keep going through this thing. All right, I'm excited. So a lot of us in the field, we always hear or have women perspective and have a lot of women who talk about emotional regulation. But the truth is, men also have emotions. And so we're excited to bring on a male therapist and his point of view about emotional regulation. I think it's a great addition. And for those of us, even if, you know, we do have some men in here, and for those of us who know men who may be dealing with some of the things, I think this will be a great insight for us to enter into. And so, Mr. Akeem, where are you?
Hey,
Hello,
how you doing?
How are you, brother?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How's everyone doing?
We're doing good.
Listen, I'm very excited. I don't know if Fatima is on it, but a shout out to her. I really appreciated her presentation. It was awesome. And I'm not going to try to overlap at all, but if I can, I'd like to kind of piggyback off of what she started. You know, being a male therapist is a blessing, number one. And I'll just share a little bit about my own personal experience, you know, as to how I got to being a therapist. And it came from me being in therapy unintentionally. I would say maybe, and I share this experience with all my new clients that I meet with, I would say maybe 15, 16 years ago, you know, my wife and I, before we got married, we decided we're going to go ahead and talk to a pastor and do the next best thing because we had a child. Let's go get married. And when we went, we sat down with this pastor who we just knew just to be a pastor. You know, he said, come meet with us, you know, and let's sit down and ask you guys a couple questions. And I will never to this day forget those questions because it completely changed my life. And he asked us if we had a date prepared for our wedding. We were like, yeah, it was maybe March or whatever the next year was. He says, good, I'm gonna need you guys to go ahead and cancel the date. And so we looked at him and we're like, cancel the date. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna agree to marry anyone if I don't know if they're ready for marriage. And that was such a profound thing for him to say at the time, you know? And so we went on and, you know, we're like, well, okay, well, look at it this way. A lot of people put a lot of time and effort into preparing for the wedding, but not a lot of people are putting time and effort into preparing what they want their marriage life to look like. And when he said that, he caught my attention because he was right. Everything we had done up to that point was, you know, who we're going to invite versus who we don't want to offend, music, location, the food, all these other kinds of things. But we didn't really sit down to iron out all the details as to how successful we wanted to be or how we wanted to view success in our married life. And to make a long story short, we spent, I would say, the better part of about 9 months in therapy. And that was the first opportunity I had in my life to actually talk about things, to share emotions. Culturally speaking, coming from a Jamaican background, you know, we never really had that opportunity to talk about emotions. You have to keep that thing in your back pocket and just work it out. You know, it was never okay to cry or to show weak emotions, as some men may refer to it. And so through this experience, I had my very first opportunity to go ahead and to talk about things, to express how I was feeling about things. And, you know, we finished the therapy. We got married. Thankfully, we're still married today. That's a blessing, you know, but that experience moved me to take my life in a different direction. So after we got married, we moved. I said, let me go back to school, and the rest is pretty much history. And so I've been on this movement right now to just to enlighten and to share with other people how beneficial therapy can be. You know, and just like Fatima mentioned, you know, I have an unpaid friend, you know, who's also my therapist when I unload and I have to get certain things off of my chest. You know, it's such a beneficial thing to have someone that can listen. And just to kind of segue off of some of the things she mentioned a whole lot of emotions that are fantastic. And I don't want to overgeneralize, but I do want to highlight just a few things that I think maybe a lot of men can relate to, and not just men, but people in general. I think maybe the second or third one on her list was anger, right? And anger management is something that we can all benefit from, right? And even myself, something that I had to work on. But when you think about anger as an emotion, that's one of the more interesting emotions that we have, because in 99% of the cases that we get angry, I can almost guarantee that there's a primary emotion that we fail to identify or recognize that has led to anger. And so if you find yourself in an argument, if you're in a disagreement about something, or something as simple as someone stepping on your shoes, right? It may be so hard to approach this individual and say, hey man, you know what, like that actually hurt my feelings. You know, like my toes actually hurt, right? I feel disrespected. All primary emotions that we tend to ignore, all right, as opposed to going to that secondary emotion, which is anger. Sometimes it becomes very, very easy or too frequent for us to go ahead and express ourselves through anger. And that's one of the things that I work on with a lot of men. I used to run a group in the Bridgeport area called Thinking for a Change. And in that group, we try to really highlight and open up all those emotions that we tend to stuff in. Right. And I wish I had a tissue box here. I'm in my home office, not my regular office. I usually have a tissue box that I can sort of use this example. But sometimes, you know, when we get in the habit of ignoring our primary emotions, you know, we become overwhelmed. We become flooded with emotions. And if you ever looked at a tissue box that's open, you have that one tissue that's hanging out and we begin to overflow. All right. And so one of the ideas that I use, and I'll tie it in with what Fatima said, is journaling. I encourage folks to journal, write down some of those emotions, right? When you find yourself in a situation, maybe a disagreement or whatever it may be, I try to encourage everyone to write down what it is, and not in a very lame or as someone would say, a corny sense. It doesn't have to be so specific, like today is April 29th and at 2:22 p.m. I did X, Y, and Z. No, it could be more simple than that. You know, had a rough day today at work, or got into an argument with my lady today, or, you know, didn't do well on my test, because those things usually trigger an emotion for us. And if we don't have time to recognize or process those emotions, we stuff them in and it begins to overflow, and we project it in other ways and in other areas in our life that can sometimes prove to be unhealthy. And so being able to recognize primary emotions are key, right? I do have a few things that I just want to bring to the table, and then maybe we can open up, and if you guys are comfortable in talking, I'd love to see everyone's face. I know we have a couple, maybe about 11 people on here, and I know some people are very, very timid or shy about showing the faces, but I'd love to see everyone who's on here and maybe wave to them, or if you'd like to ask a question about managing your emotions, you know, that would be cool. I think that's awesome that we could sort of, hey, how you doing, Eric? Love to share and see if we could, you know, build together and talk about ways that we can manage our emotions, right? And so I'm going to give you guys 5 quick tidbits that I have written down, right? And so in terms of us being able to regulate our emotions, the first one is to take care of and to nurture yourself, all right? You cannot accomplish anything if you're unhealthy, all right? And so we encourage that you get plenty of rest, exercise, and try to eat well-balanced meals, right? Many of us, we sometimes think that we can burn the candle at both ends, or we could eat junk food, or get very little exercise and still function adequately, and that is not true. In order for us to be able to function appropriately and be able to identify all of our emotions, you know, we have to be well-balanced, and that comes with exercise and a healthy diet. You know, sometimes we can get away with this for a little while when you're young. However, at some point, this lifestyle will eventually catch up to us, and burnout is a real possibility. So if you want to be able to manage your emotions, you want to make sure that you avoid burnout and take care of your mind, nurture yourself, right? So that's one. So the second thing is going to be know what your priorities are, all right? That one is knowing what your priorities are, all right? So balance does not entail cramming in every activity possible. Right? We have to be able to examine our values and decide what's important to you, right? Then you can set your boundaries, all right? So not cramming, examine your values, all right? And then you can set your boundaries, all right? You may be in the process of, let's say, building a career, starting a family, going to school. Depending on what stage you're at in your life, your focus and energies will be different. And so we want you to avoid becoming overwhelmed by juggling too many big projects in your life at once, all right? Maybe planning a wedding is not a good idea when you're studying for the bar exam. That doesn't mix well, right? Or starting a family when you're unsure about your career direction, all right? Or your relationship status. Not knowing what you want and trying to do everything at once can be a recipe for disaster, all right? So instead of the road to lead into we want our roads to lead us to a well-balanced life. And so the first one was take care of and nurture yourself. The second one is know what your priorities are, all right? Number 3, all right? create an efficient mindset. 3, create an efficient mindset. Be organized, plan ahead, all right? Take time at the beginning of each week to assess what needs to be done. And I would even pause there and take it a step further, because I would say maybe a good 90% of us, in the world right now are at home. We can do this every single day, right? When you get up each day, because we have a lot more time at our disposal, plan each and every day. Don't let the 12 o'clock catch you and you don't have an effective plan. Maybe it's something as simple as, you know what, I'm gonna cook breakfast at this time. I'm gonna go knock out some push-ups. I'm gonna take a brisk walk around the block, whatever the case may be. Plan your days. Don't let the days plan you. Don't let your weeks plan you, all right? Make a to-do list, all right? Or use a planner or a calendar so you can document and get all your appointments. If you have any exams, meetings that you have to attend, be sure to allow yourself enough space and time for recreation and quality time. Hopefully with this whole COVID-19, if you haven't been directly impacted physically or any of your loved ones, that you can have more quality time. That's one thing we've been doing at my household, is to spend more time with each other. Normally our days are, we're getting up early in the morning, we're rushing to get people to school and go to work, and when we come home, we're exhausted. So quality time is something that's very, very important in creating and maintaining an efficient mindset, all right? Taking the time to connect with your family and friends will recharge your batteries and make you more efficient in the long run, all right? So creating an efficient mindset helps us to be efficient, not just in the short term, but in the long run, all right? Number 4, all right? Expect the unexpected, all right? Expect the unexpected. And I'm sure many of us right now are tasting that right now with this whole COVID-19. And not to be too dreadful on this, but it was very unexpected for many people, right? But we're here. If you're here in this chat right now, you're surviving, you're here, and we're grateful for that. And we're hoping that we can just, put some good energy out there and peace and blessings to all those who are impacted directly or indirectly by it. All right, so expect the unexpected. Rather than get stressed out and upset, learn to roll with the punches. When something over which you have no control happens, you can get stuck in traffic, no control over that, right? Your computer could crash, no control over that. Your child could get sick with chickenpox, a cold, whatever it is, stuff will always happen, all right? And we've all experienced the unexpected. So if you can begin to accept that anything can happen at any time, it's less likely to throw you off your stride when it does, all right? Be able to adjust your game plan. For me, I'll share personally, I had no idea that, COVID-19 would impact the way it did, but I'm grateful that I was able to adjust, as opposed to being in my office every day and having people to come in. The adjustment was very simple. I had to go home, move some things around, dedicate one room just for an office. That way I can still make a living, and I can, more importantly, still connect with a lot of my clients through telehealth. So that was an adjustment for all of us who have children. I'm sure many of us have made that adjustment. A lot of children right now doing the distance or the online learning, right? And so some families didn't have computers or laptops, and what some of the schools in my state has done, they've sent some of the kids home with laptops or the little Chromebooks and tablets. And so everyone had to make some form of an adjustment so they can still get their job done, whether it be schoolwork, whatever it is. Learn to roll with those punches. Expect the unexpected, all right? Note also that there are times when achieving balance may not be possible. This is a key one, right? For instance, you may have a family or career crisis that needs your immediate and undivided attention. It may require an exceptional amount of time and your resources. So when that happens, do whatever it takes. And when things get back to normal, take time to refresh and rejuvenate, all right? And that's one thing I just want to kind of stick a pin there and sort of emphasize, as we're in this time, a lot of us are preparing to go back to normal. And I think part of the truth is we don't know what normal is going to look like, right? I think normal will be much different. Whatever life was like 2 months ago may be very different whenever we get out of this thing. And so just be willing to refresh and taking whatever the new changes, whatever the new norm is going to be willing to adjust to that, right? This may mean we're wearing masks and gloves for a little bit longer, but the good news about that, maybe it will protect us and prevent us from getting, such a thing like this COVID-19 until they can obviously get vaccines and so forth, all right? So be willing to adjust to the new norms. New norms will come, just as many of us have experienced them in the past. We have to be adaptable and willing to adjust. And number 5, the last one, all right? This one is maintain a positive mental attitude. All right. Maintain a positive mental attitude. And forgive me in advance, I did not have, this up on my screen so I could do the screen share. In the future, if I'm ever doing something with you all, I'll be sure to have that so everyone can read it. So I'm trying to go as slow as possible.
No,
but
Brother Akeem, it's okay. I am taking notes in the chat, so
okay, perfect.
All good.
Perfect. I appreciate that. You. You ladies are awesome. So maintain a positive mental attitude. Begin each day with the intention of making the best and the most of it. All right. It may not always go as planned, but it can go more smoothly if you put it in perspective. Right. Part of living a well-balanced life is learning how to deal with adversity, unforeseen events, and uncertainty. All right. If you practice not letting things get to you, you will not only learn to live a well-balanced and less stressful life, you will learn to live in and savor the moments. All right. And that's sometimes we need to savor those moments. Once you've done everything you can, that's within your control. All right. Let your life unfold and be prepared for the future, but don't worry about it. We can't spend too much time worrying about things that we don't have control over. And so if you can maintain a positive mental attitude, that can definitely help in managing some of our emotions. All right. There's so many things, that we can do and we can dig into, but, I kind of want to give this time, if it's okay with you, if there are any questions, any concerns, anything you guys want to show, or maybe even a comment, that we can sort of hear and we can build on those thoughts, those questions together.
Sorry, this is Danya Parker. It's easier for me just to unmute instead of trying to type. Akeem, thank you so much. It's amazing to get the perspective from a male, and especially a Black male within our community therapist, because one, that's very hard to find, especially in our area. And I know a lot of males are suffering, but they're afraid of that one, like you said, the stigma to come out and reach anyone or talk to anyone. So especially now with everybody on lockdown, I know it's hard, and a lot of people are really not able to work. So that's another aspect that's messing with the mental part as well. So I appreciate you and I thank you.
Absolutely. It's definitely an honor to be in this position. And, I just want to, further that thought a little bit. What we can do, and I think I've seen a lot of churches been doing this. They've been using these Zooms and even smaller groups to meet with people. Sometimes, the bigger platforms that we would speak on or use to sort of meet with individuals can be intimidating. Right. And so I think Zoom is a good platform where we can, get smaller groups together. And so if you know a group of guys, that would be willing, I'll share my contact information. Maybe we can set up like smaller Zoom meetings where people who have like minds or similar interests or similar concerns they want to talk about, we can talk about that in a more intimate setting. So absolutely, I definitely agree. And I definitely, I honor that.
That sounds like an awesome idea. Have you met? Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be, and we would love to be a part of orchestrating or helping in any way that we can facilitate that for you guys. And I mean, as I said, like, we need that group orientation anyway. We need that. Yeah. And so I'll definitely be talking more with you about that. If you guys don't have any more questions for Akeem, we do have some activities just to culminate all of the learnings that we just tapped into, that we're going to jump into. If you guys don't have any more questions or anything for Akeem, we would love for you to stay with us, please.
Will he be leaving his information?
Yes. Can you drop your information in the chat, Akeem, please?
Absolutely. I'll put my telephone number and my newly put together Instagram. I'll throw that in there as well.
We love it. We love it. Thank you so much, brother. We really, really appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Guys, please
Absolutely.
get in contact with Akeem. He's awesome. Thank you so much, brother. All right, and thank you guys for still being here with us. I know that was a lot of information. Well, let's put it all together. Let's see how we can apply it to ourselves. It's action time. We do a lot of interpreting or listening, but it's time to put some things into action and make a plan, like Akeem said. So I'm gonna share the screen here. Excuse me. Hopefully we're all good. Everyone can see. Again, this one was brought to you by What's Inside You, and we just did this exercise early, and we'll be doing it again. So let's play this out for a second, okay? Go ahead and create a chart similar to the one that you see, and we're gonna go through some scenarios to see if we can identify some of the many things that we were just taught about. So we got the technical side of what these triggers mean, what these emotions mean, but let's put it into real play. And I guess in the chat, you can give me a thumbs up, or if you guys, I hope that you have made your chart already, and then we can move on.
You just make a chart.
I mean, it's a simple chart. I mean, I'm not trying to say that, I don't know how long it's going to take you to make your chart. I give you a few seconds.
Is everyone's chart made? You can leave a comment in the chat box so we can continue with the scenario.
I keep doing that. Excuse me, guys. Because I can't do the chat and I can't do the chat and this at the same time. Oh, there we go. It just came up. All right, let's move on.
Anyway, so we have about 3 scenarios here, and we're just going to process. So scenario 1, your partner is playing the video game, and you are trying to discuss your new promotion after repeating yourself 8 times, and then you just cut the game off.
So wait, your partner's playing a video game, and you're trying to discuss your new promotion. Hey, I got a new promotion. I got a new promotion. Hey, I got a new and you just cut the game off?
Yeah, how did that make you feel?
Ooh, I got upset. I was just doing the scenario. No, we got to break this down. Like, we clearly know what the reaction was, right? And I wish we could type in here, but for the purposes of this, we're just going to talk it out. I wish that we could, I'm sorry, go ahead and write the reaction that you heard or you think may have happened from that scenario. Actually, I want to start share. Can we get on? Can I see you guys? Where are you guys? I can't see you. There we go.
Thank you for being patient with us.
Seriously, where are you guys?
There's everyone.
I can keep that up. Are you guys still here with us? Can you see? There we are. There's some people. I mean, I thought we had got disconnected for a second.
I'm still here. It's just I can't see you guys
Oh,
anymore.
okay.
Yeah.
So I was asking the group, what type of reaction did we assume from that scenario?
This is Danya. Me personally, I think it was a lot because that's not me, but I think if the reaction is probably something from previous things that the person feels constantly ignored, or that they feel that the game is more important. So it goes back to something that to me probably has happened in the past, and that was something that they were excited about, and they're feeling constantly ignored, and that was just a trigger, and it just set it to that point where it was more than it really had to be.
That you just literally just filled in everyone. So the trigger was being ignored.
Right.
The reaction was the anger. And what we can guess for possible root causes are that maybe this ignoring happens all the time.
Or when this individual was a child, they was neglected and ignored by their parents. things like that.
So that's like, that's what we need to start doing when we're talking about root causes. So we can easily identify triggers and reactions. We know that this person got ignored and this person got angry. What we do not know is what really may have caused it. It wasn't that situation that caused that anger. There was a root cause to that anger. And so we have to get in a habit of digging into that emotion to figure out why it happened. And so in this scenario, we were thinking of root causes, just like Cedrica just said, may have been being ignored all your life. You know, you were a child and you were constantly ignored. So when you become an adult, that becomes a trigger for your actions. Bam. Now is the question.
We have to replace the reaction, because we can't just continue to react in this way. So once we've identified the trigger, we've identified the reaction, we know the root cause, what can we do better the next time?
I think with that situation, it's kind of hard to try to rectify the situation if you're not having a direct conversation. So if I'm talking to you and you're not listening, at some point, it's kind of hard. So it has to be both ways to me in order for the situation to work.
Now I'm very glad that you said that, because when we're talking about our emotions, we really have to remember that our locus of control is really all we have control over. A partner, a mother, a father, a sister, a brother. As much as we want to control how they react to us, we cannot. And so in situations where it's like, well, I'm being ignored, you know, you're wrong. It is still your emotion and your interpretation of the situation that thinks that this person is wrong. And so we have to keep that at the forefront of our minds.
Because it's a validation. Like you want your partner to validate and be joyful in your experience. So it's like, wow, maybe I can validate myself. Maybe I don't need you to hear me. I don't need you to see me. I need to see myself and be proud for myself. So
just something to think about.
Yeah.
Very good dialogue. Thank you, Diana. Go ahead. Did you want to add something?
So I have a question about what you were saying about the validation of you validating yourself. So one, the validation was there because one, you got a promotion on your job. So you know you're doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, our emotions still want that acceptance from others, regardless of who we are at any point, adult, whatever. You still want that little bit of acceptance from somebody. So you validate yourself. You're validating yourself. You know you're a hard worker. You're a genuine person. You take good care of other people. But at some point, regardless of whether we want to admit it or not, and a lot of us that are very strong always say, no, I don't need that. Some kind of way, your emotions still want that little bit of validation from someone else.
So thank you for bringing that up. That's a great point. And I think that it's not that people don't want to admit that they need that from someone. I think it's about realizing that you may not always get that. And so it's like, then what do I do? Of course I want it. Everybody yearns for that. That's a part of our natural makeup, to want that validation from someone else. But what happens when it's not there and you don't get it? Like, do we use that as a reason to fail or to not be our greatest self because someone else can't see our potential or what we are good, or giving us the validation that we're seeking? We have to be okay without it, is what I'm saying. Yes, everybody wants it. But what happens when you don't get it? How do you self-soothe?
That's a very good question, and I think it's a very hard question, because I'm be very transparent. I was that person that it seemed like at some point, I mean, I do any and everything for everybody, and that sometimes I do or I did need that validation as well. And me being a strong person, I had to learn that, okay, everybody's not going to see you the way you see yourself. As long as you're comfortable with yourself, it's okay. But I think I'm not going to just say it, I still feel that we all at some point still need that in our lives at some given point. And I would love to get somebody else's point of view, especially to find out, how do you deal with that? You're comfortable with yourself. You're realizing, okay, no, they're not going to validate me. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. I'm going to continue being the person that I am, and I'm going to continue doing what I'm supposed to do. So how do you continue to live with something like that all your life?
I think some of the tactics, and if anybody wants to chime in, please do. I think some of the tactics discussed earlier are some of the things that we can do to help with our, because this is about self-awareness and self-validation. We don't have the tools to do that. That's why we're in a space where we can't, and we're just yearning and turning to unhealthy things because we don't have the tools to actually cope with that and to help heal that part of ourselves.
And I honestly think when you get to a point of identifying and knowing that that this is a trigger, this is how I respond, and then I know where it began. So then you start going into like your childhood to where when was the first time I ever started feeling like this, so that I know that that's where it comes from. So when it comes up, I know that it's just unhealed trauma that I'm dealing with, and I have to celebrate every step of the way because at one point I didn't know that this was a trigger. At one point I didn't know that the root cause was somewhere buried inside of my childhood. So it's like it's constantly revealing little pieces of it so that we can heal these wounds. In my opinion, in my own personal journey, that's how I've been tackling it.
I'm loving this conversation because it all intertwines together, because it goes back to I had to deal with certain triggers back in my childhood, certain things as well. So that's where that journaling comes from. When I journal and I start writing things down and how I'm feeling, it helps so much, and it brings back a lot of stuff. And then I said, oh, that's why this did that. Or even when I was talking to my therapist. So it all intertwines together and it comes back. And I really like this dialogue.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
And that's why we wanted to bring it to the forefront. And, and we actually engaged in it ourselves. And that's what our next thing was actually going to be, is you thinking about some recent or memory stained stressful situations and trying to dissect them in this moment. And so we've took the liberty of doing it ourselves. And this is actually my personal one. So a trigger for me is people telling me what to do. That is my interpretation, why I put it in quotation marks, because sometimes people are not telling me what to do, but based on my experience, like I think that people are trying to tell me what to do. And so as a result of that, I get really defensive. My response gets heightened, whether it's my voice, whether it's my position, that's my reaction. And with me dissecting that, I realized that some of the root causes have to do with not feeling like I had an opinion or a decision about some of the things that I wanted to do when I was younger. So I got a lot of no's, a lot of rejection in my life, which became a hindrance in my adult life. But I never realized how many aspects of my adult life was actually hindered by being rejected as a child. And so some of the replacement reactions are, because I immediately react to whatever it is of someone telling me what to do. And so a replacement reaction is really dissecting and understanding the difference between maybe someone's opinion, maybe someone giving me an order, maybe someone giving a suggestion. And then also, maybe I can just say a simple thank you. Like there are many things that I can do besides blow up when I think someone's telling me what to do. And so that was my personal one. And then Cedrica also made one, so she'll get to explain hers.
Okay, so this one is, I'm a little fat girl, and I guess I've always been like this. So a trigger for me is someone eating my leftover food from my favorite restaurant. Like I've been out all day and I had my mouth watering for this food, and when I get there, it's gone. So my reaction, I'm ready to be confrontational. I'm yelling. I may say something that may, I may say some mean insults just because I'm acting out of anger because I feel disrespected. So the root cause, where is this anger coming from, Cedrica? I have to ask myself. And as a child, I was forced to share everything. Like I had a little brother, little sister. I had older siblings, a mom who was very, her hands were in anything. Or I was told that when I get a job, I could have the say so. So when I got older, I saw myself like, okay, I paid for this. I worked hard for this. This is mine. No one should have any right to do that. But that didn't make me feel good either. So to replace that reaction, I can't take it personally. I have to accept, okay, if this person ate my food, that means they were really hungry. How could I deny somebody some food or anything? But this is a place where I can set boundaries because that was something I was never taught. And I can say, hey, yes, you ate my food this time. It really made me feel this type of way. I would appreciate if you did not eat my food or at least ask me. So yeah, that's how I process mine.
So, and we even if you don't in this moment participate in this, I would love for you to indulge in this at some point. So you have the chart and you have your situations, and so you're able to dissect that. The next thing that we had actually was put in a simpler form by Fatima.
Did anyone want to share a trigger and their reaction and root cause? Don't have to if you don't want to, but if you feel comfortable sharing, we would love to hear it.
And if you're just joining us, we're just dissecting some triggers, reactions, possible root causes, and how we can help replace the reaction. I do think that putting a positive spin on things, as Fatima mentioned, is something that we definitely can do, regardless of any situation. Look at the positive side of it, being optimistic. Just giving you guys some time in case you're still working on your chart. I'm not sure if you're working on your chart or if you want to share or not. Let us know. So, and again, a large part of having good self-awareness is knowing your strengths and weaknesses. Identifying what makes you angry or feel negative. What is it about others' people behavior that triggers your anger? Know what triggers you. Know what triggers you. What'd I say?
Know what triggers you.
Know what triggers you. Not the situation, the root cause.
And when I think about that, like, I guess this is a new realization that I had, that a lot of times we're so much in our head, and we're so quick to respond that we forget on, like, we miss out on the feeling. So versus, okay, Sean does something to me, oh, I identify it as disrespectful because it's like a pattern, it's a program that based off experience, it's a program. And so automatically in my mind, I'm like, okay, that was disrespectful. It's already in a category of disrespect, but I don't really tap into how it really made me feel. Like, okay, when she did that, it made me feel, just to be more in tune with our feelings and ourselves and be able to distinguish, is it my mind that's taking over or is it really what I'm really feeling within?
Exactly. And so in saying that,
it is ideal for everyone to easily cope with and adapt their behaviors to different situations. That has not been the case for many who have suffered trauma. People who resist change often experience unhealthy levels of stress and anxiety that can lead to poor physical and mental health.
So some of this can just be happening just because we're experiencing change. Just anything as minuscule or a large scale, can have us experiencing stress and anxiety and basically lead us to poor mental health. So there is a framework by Lazarus, and you can look it up whenever you get a chance.
So Fatima's was easier to understand. It was similar.
This is a transactional model for stress and coping, actually. So if you're following along, we'll start from the top one down. So you have your environment or your stressor, whatever the situation is. That's a situation. Now comes the person and how they perceive this situation. The first thing that happens is you have to interpret whether this is a positive, dangerous, or irrelevant situation. And that happens very, very fast. It's basically, am I in danger? Can I handle this or can I ignore this? And that happens very fast. As soon as that happens, you're on to your second level of appraising. Now you're looking around and you're trying to figure out, do I have the resources to cope with this or do I not have the resources to cope with this? Again, that happens very fast. For most of us, including myself, it's normally the latter. I do not have the resources to cope with this stress. Now you're on to the stress. Now you're stressing, okay? Now it's time for you to cope in the midst of your stressing, and you have to figure out whether you want to change the actual problem and focus on the situation or whether you want to change the emotion, which is getting to the root cause. Majority of the time, we deal with the situation. You know, it's innate for us. That's what we're gonna gravitate to if we don't have and practice those healthy coping skills. And add something to that?
I think you explained it.
Yeah, I want to say it again for myself. Situation, person. Is this dangerous? Can I handle it?
That's your category. Go ahead.
All right. Now, all right, it's dangerous. Oh my gosh, it's a dangerous situation. Do I have the resources?
Nope.
No, I don't have the resources.
You went that way.
Boom, I'm focused on the problem now. Somebody just hit my car. I gotta change the situation itself. I don't even know how I'm gonna do that, but I'm probably really, really upset. But I didn't even give myself a second to even dissect what was happening.
Because the problem is, oh, my insurance is gonna go up. How I'm gonna fix
That's
this.
what I'm really thinking about.
Now we focus on the problem, and now we're neglecting ourselves of how we're feeling. We're not taking care of ourselves in the moment, right?
So this is just something that you guys can look over whenever you get a chance, but we wanted to break down the actual psyche of what happens when you encounter a stressful situation. These are the things that your mind goes through, and it happens very rapidly. So if we can slow this process down, we can start to insert what we want and take out what we don't need. Just like breaking the cycle. I would like you to focus on establishing clear goals from everything that you've learned today. Just any goal for yourself. You don't even have to make it right now, but once you've digested all of this stuff, I really want you to make a goal for yourself. A goal that can really, really be met. That's not too hard and that's not too easy. Challenge yourself moderately, okay? Think about all those unsettling behaviors or responses that have become habitual for you that you want to change. And for me, it's definitely what I mentioned earlier. Like, it's habitual for me to think that somebody's bossing me around, for me to be like, I'm not doing that. It could probably be the best idea in the world. Here, Shontice, take this coin, walk to that corner, and you're going to get everything you've ever wanted in life.
Who's ever not wanted help? Sean is somebody that, like, help is not something that...
It's just the way I perceive help. Maybe all the help that I've gotten in my time was not always good help. And so now, when people that are trying to help, I'm a little scared. I'm skeptical. What do you mean? You're going to do what? And how I'm going to do that? Why? How? And so I would like to be better at that. And so when I receive feedback, I would like to respond with as few words as possible, because my initial response means that I probably didn't even intake or consume or digest whatever it is that was being told to me. And so that is my goal. I'm setting that goal today, and it's something that I'm going to make sure that I work on and challenge myself to work on, because I want to be better at it, and I will be better at it. And this is how I'm going to be better at it.
My goal, I want to be able to differentiate between my feelings and my emotions. And those are two different things. So I want to be able to understand that, and especially when I'm dealing with a lot of situations or when I'm receiving information, I want to go with my feeling, how it feels in my body versus my flight or flight senses that take over a lot of times.
So we encourage you to make goals as well. We have learned a lot of information today. And if you are still with us, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to open it up to see if you guys have anything that you wanted to add. Before we do that, though, I would like to ask you one last question. How are you feeling right now? Just as we did earlier, I want you to draw an outline of a body, and I want you to use either your words or some ideas here to depict how you're feeling in this very, very moment. It may be the same from earlier, it may be different, but it's all about how you feel in this moment.
I'm feeling enlightened. Yeah.
How are you feeling right now? Draw it inside of your body depiction. How are you feeling? Be honest.
And we encourage you to make time to check in with yourself, to know, like, how am I feeling when you wake up? How am I feeling? Am I feeling blah? Am I still tired? Just so that we can constantly connect with ourselves all the time, because sometimes we find ourselves acting out crazy and we don't even know. Like, we just need a little bit more sleep. Or if I would have just took a deep breath, I probably would have reacted, responded differently.
Thank you for checking in with you. You took an hour and 30 minutes out of your time to check in with your emotional state to help you regulate yourself in this time. And you should be applauded for that. Thank you. Please feel free to share this information with anybody. This is recorded and it will be posted again in our library on our website and also on our YouTube channel. And so feel free to review that once that is uploaded. This is the schedule for the upcoming weeks. Next week we'll actually be diving into meditation. It's going to be a great time. I really, really hope to see all of you there. That is on May 6th from 2 to 4. Same place, same time, different day, same day, different week.
Next week, bring a friend, bring a couple of friends. We want to continue to make this a very fun, interactive presentation. I know it's boring just listening to someone talk all the time. So we appreciate your participation and you showing up for you today. That means a lot to me and also yourself.
Absolutely. And then we also would like for you, if you do not, please follow us, follow our journey. Can't wait to get back on the road. Again, we've been to 17 states thus far on a 50-state tour. We've been gone from home since September 2018. We're currently in an RV. So we are broadcasting from our home, which is an RV.
We're currently in Atlanta.
We are stationed in Atlanta at this very moment. Never know where we'll be next week. So please feel free to check us out. Again, we want to thank Black Coffee. Thank you so much, Black Coffee, for allowing us to utilize this platform. Please check them out. Please, please, please check them out. They also offer these shirts on this website along with some great coffee. So if you're interested in this shirt and some great coffee and some financial empowerment for the community, Black Coffee Company is where you want to be, for sure.
A powerhouse, for real. Again, thank you. At this time, if you have any questions or comments, please share them now.
Remember that we are here. Well, this number that we're displaying is a 24-hour hotline for anybody who ever needs to talk. We are here. We're always here to support you. And please share this with anyone that you may know, because everybody needs somebody to talk to, some non-judgmental ear. That's what we're here to do that. So please, thank you guys so much. You're so awesome.
Enjoy the remainder of your day and week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peace, peace.
Thank you. Love y'all.
Love you too.
Love y'all.
Love you.
Love you more.
Bye.
Okay.